What is going on, guys? Welcome to your 18th C++ tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to talk to you guys about a while loop. And if you're saying, alright Bucky, take a step back, I don't even know what a loop is, and now you're trying to talk to me about a special kind of loop? Alright, let me step back. A loop is basically, in computer programming, if you want to take a certain bit of code and run it over and over and over again, you can go ahead and you can just type it on like 100 different lines and it will keep running, or you can throw it in something called a loop. And what a loop does, it says, alright, write this code only one time, and I'm going to run it as many times as you want me to. So for example, instead of, say we wanted to print hello on the screen 100 times, instead of writing cout hello on 100 different lines, we can only write it on one line and loop it 100 times. So it's a much easier way to make pieces of code run multiple times. So let me show you guys an example. And by the way, now I can talk to you guys about a while loop. There are many different types of loops. A while loop is pretty much the most basic type of loop. In my opinion, it's the easiest. So that's why I'm showing this to you guys first. So let's go ahead and I'll show you guys an example. Go ahead and make a variable called bacon and set it equal to 0. The syntax for a while loop is this. We're going to say while, and then in the parentheses right after it, we're going to give it a test, just like the if statement. We're going to test if bacon is less than or equal to 5, go ahead and run this bit of code over and over again. So let's go ahead and just run cout bacon is, and then it'll say the value of bacon, and then end line. So now if we were to go ahead and run this, you would say, alright, run it, bacon is 0, bacon is 0, bacon is 0, and you can see that it keeps printing it out over and over. By now it probably printed it out like 20,000 times. So you're saying, alright, that's kind of useful, I guess, but wouldn't it be more useful if this loop would end? For example, if we only wanted to run it 20 times, how would we go about doing that? Well, sometimes people do want loops that never end, but typically they don't. Typically you want to only have this code run like 5 times or 10 times or 15 times. So how do we control exactly how many times it runs? Well, in order to do that, we usually add a line of code like this. Again, what this test is going to do is test, is bacon less than or equal to 5? And since the value is 0 right now, this test is always going to be true. So in order to make this test false and this loop to stop running, we need to change the value of bacon at some point so it is equal to 5 or greater than 5. And in order to do that, go ahead and make bacon equals bacon plus 1. Now, each time we run the loop, it's going to go ahead and do its thing right here, and then when it's done, it's going to add 1 to the value of bacon. So the first time it runs, it's going to be 0, and then it's going to add 1 to it, so then it's going to be 1, then it's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, and by the time it gets to 5, it's going to change it to 6 and not run. So let me go ahead and show you guys. Bacon is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we already know why bacon ran in this case. When bacon was equal to 0, it was less than or equal to 5. 1, yup. 2, yup. 3, 4, 5. Is 5 less than or equal to 5? Yup, so it printed that out. But then, whenever it said, alright, the value of bacon is 5, so I'm going to print out bacon is 5. And then I'm going to add 1 to bacon. So now bacon equals 6. Alright, let's try this loop again. Is 6 less than or equal to 5? No. Finally, the test is false, so I can quit running my dumb loop. So that is how you add, again, like I said, when, okay, take a breath, Bucky, you're jumping too fast. Sometimes people want loops to run forever, and when they do, you would do something like the first example I told you. But typically, and I want to say like 95% of the time, people build loops that they only want to run a certain amount of times. For example, 5 times. If you only wanted to run it 5 times, or actually it was 6 in this case, you would add something called this line right here. And this pretty much just changes the value of bacon. So at some point, that test has to be false. If you wanted to run it 20 times, you would go ahead and just change that to 20 and check it out. Bacon is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way to 20. Pretty cool, huh? So you can change how often your loop runs by a couple things. Its starting point its ending point, or how much you increment that value by. Again, you can add 3 to it each time if you want, and then you would get something like this. 1, add 3 to 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19, and when you added 3 to that and it was 22, well, 22 is indeed not less than or equal to 20, so that's when it stopped the loop. So that is the basics of the while loop. Again, all a while loop does is take a certain bit of code and runs it over and over and over again until the test is false. And again, like I said at the very beginning of this tutorial, there are many different loops that allow you to take a bit of code and run it over and over and over again. A while loop is pretty much just the most basic kind. So make sure whenever building your while loops not to forget to change that value, or your loop's going to run forever, and who wants that? So for now, thank you guys for watching. I'm actually going to go make some bacon right now, so you guys sit tight, rewatch this tutorial, and once you're good, once you understand the syntax of how a while loop works, you're ready to move on to my next video. So again, thank you, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.